It's not even organized. I've been putting this off and just everything goes on the table. So give me a second to organize all this stuff and then I'll start talking about them individually. Okay, got my thoughts all collected, got everything all nicely arranged on the table. This is mostly Season 2 stuff, some Last of Us Part 2 stuff. There's actually some Season 1 and The Last of Us Part 1 stuff in there too. Some of the stuff I've already showed off, like Jesse's backpack, but I did some more work on it. Same thing with the M4, that's just there because I put 4 flashlights on it, and I thought that was hilarious. A lot more flashlights. Dina's backpack I already made a short about. Same thing with the Ellie's pistol, I already made a short about that. And yeah, we'll get to everything one at a time here. This is Jesse's backpack. They do use it in Season 2, so this is also the same as the game. Again, it's the normal brand. But yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing in the show, in the game. Not a whole lot of modifications. If anything, they did less modifications than I did. I had to go back and undo some of the stuff that I did. It does appear that they've darkened the leather parts and then weathered them down a little bit. So I did that. I just went over it with a little bit of 400 grit just to get some more scuffing, some more wear. They didn't blue the carry handle, so I had to go through and paint that again. You can see pretty clearly that the brand logo is just covered up with some black duct tape or some black tape, gaffer's tape, whatever tape, some kind of tape. Also in the game, it was clear that the D-rings right here had been removed, so it was just this little flap right here. But in the show, they left the D-rings on, so I just put the D-rings back on. Yeah, that's really all there is to it, is that there's some tape over the logo, and they weathered it to the end. Also, I took out the machete, because he doesn't have a machete in the show. Next. It's a little bit of review for Ellie's pistol. Again, this is a matchup between Season 2 and The Last of Us Part 2. It's just a gas blowback with a couple of extra add-ons and stuff. What's cool about the bottle is that you can actually hear it ringing sometimes, like if you fire it at a real particular angle, but I can't usually get it to do that. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much the same thing as the short, so not too much to talk about. So this is just my 2 cents on what could be Abby's pistol in The Last of Us Part 2. IMFDB actually has a couple of different guns that have very particular elements, but again, if I'm throwing in my ideas, I'm going to say it's a combination between the Glock 17 and HK USP. Particularly the grip, the mag well, trigger guard, the rail, takedown pin. Those can be matched up pretty closely to Abby's gun from the game. Same thing with the color scheme. This does come in OD and black and hammerless. So that's, again, one more thing to sort of... I don't know where I was going to go. One more thing to what? What? Anyway, yeah, just a spring pistol. I painted it, obviously, pulled the hammer off. But yeah, that's about it for that one. So this is the Glock 17. Abby uses it in The Last of Us Season 2. I put the compensator on from The Last of Us Part 2, the game, just because I found some hexagonal tube, and it was just too perfect to not try to make it again. I wasn't 100% happy with the last one for probably obvious reasons, but this one turned out a lot better, plus it's actually metal. For some reason, I'm just a little bit more confident with aluminum than, say, like plastics, Sintra, etc., PVC. But yeah, it's pretty clear that it's a Glock 17 in the show, and again, it's kind of a mashup. That's why I did the compensator here. The holster, Abby's holster is kind of funny because this is not the leg holster. This is the one that she keeps in the small of her back, and looking at the pictures, it's pretty clear that it's almost exactly this, minus the strap, of course, but the strap is there for practical purposes. But the little button latch here, that's pretty clear. The overall shape is pretty clear. I just took off the strap because I don't know how I'm going to attach this to anything yet. And if anything, I probably won't, just because it's more fun to have it as a holster. I found that, and it was like 10 bucks, so I figured I'd get it. That's about it. Okay, moving on. This assortment here is Dina's stuff. Mostly from the show. This is from the game. The gun is a Browning High Power. According to IMFDB, it's literally just the black handle painted brown and weathered. And I was like, that sounds really easy. So I did that. And that's all it is. It's a black grip that I painted brown and then weathered. And that's it. But it's pretty clear that that's what it is in the show. silver barrel. When she fires it empty, you can see the silver barrel. It's actually both the regular Browning high power and the Mark III, but this is just the Mark III because that's the only one that I could find in airsoft. Her knife is a K-bar short. This is a 1251, and aside of the little logo right there, you can pretty clearly see that it's a K-bar, specifically because the handle is real specific, the pommel is real specific, and there's a couple of shots that you can possibly even see the pommel pin, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's a short. Again, you can pretty clearly see that it's a small one compared to the size of like her hand versus the knife. Again, it's pretty clear that it's the short version. The backpack, I haven't done anything to it yet other than just buy it. So the details of that are in the short, and there's not really much else that I would say about that. Both her and Ellie carry Nebo crickets. Again, I'm pretty sure this is a big cricket. Size-wise, this matches up a little bit better. You can see they have amber filters, both of them, but they're distinguishable because one of them has blue tape, Dina has blue tape, and Ellie has green tape. I just didn't put the green tape on this one. One thing that's different on Ellie's is that she has a quick detach on the little hook here. It's like a little C-hook on her strap, and you can see like she just snaps it in like that, and that's how she holds it. Also, you can see some of the wolves carry Nebo crickets also. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you can see it. This is Dina's flashlight from the game, The Last of Us Part 2. This is a Army Tech Wizard C2 Pro Max. I had to read that because it's kind of a long name. One thing that happened on The Last of Us Part 2, and the same goes for the Streamlight Survivor, is that they resized it to make it a little bit more universally sized. So in the game, these two are actually about the same size, but you can see that there is a vast size difference between the two of them. But details-wise, you can see pretty clearly that this is what it is. The clip details, the grooves, the shape. They shows the button also. It's red in the game, but it's still there. Once I saw it, it's one of those things that like, oh, you know that that's exactly what it is. It's just that there was some modifications made to it. Like, it looks like there's some tape or something around the middle section. And it has this turbo mode. That's just ridiculous. And yeah, it's a great flashlight. It's just really specific. I don't know who was in charge of finding the flashlights and all the equipment for The Last of Us Part 2, but like the backpacks, the flashlights, they're all like high-end items. And it was great that I could find them, but at the same time, it gets a little expensive after a little bit. So that's Dina's flashlight from The Last of Us Part 2. Alright, so I did another version of Ellie's SMG from The Last of Us Part 2. And this time, it's actually a SIG MPX. I pulled out the little springs and stuff, and then I put a blaster core in here. Alright, so this is probably going to be just a really painful jump cut. So, this is all the guts. I wanted to talk about it before I closed it all up. And my upstairs neighbor kid has been rage gaming since Christmas, so... So this is the selector knob, and this is kind of unique in the sense that it actually separates in between. The knobs don't actually come off, and the bigger piece was actually on the right side, so instead of having everything on one side and then closing it up like a grilled cheese or something, you got some of the stuff still on one side and then the rest of the stuff on the other side. And here's all the switches working. This is the main power, trigger, and semi-full, so that when you rotate it, it'll release the extra click was the magazine, because the magazine's not in right now. It'll release the hold on the power, and I'll connect there, and then you can pull the trigger there, and then rotate it up again to go to full auto, and that's where it would fire full auto if there's a magazine in it. There was enough space so that I was able to run wires, and I still did a little bit of copper foil tape for like bus bars and stuff, but I didn't have to run it everywhere because I could actually fit wires in this. This is the magazine, and then the aux is behind the charging handle, so the battery is going to be in the handguard, so everything runs up around the barrel and will eventually feed into the handguard. The main LED is split off into two separate things. There's the main muzzle flash, and then there's some supplementary cob LED that's going to flash out the holes in the side, so it's going to be more than just a little tiny flash in the front. I made a little resin plug that fits perfectly into the muzzle of the big chunky poor kid. I made a little resin plug that glued onto the front of the LED, and that fits perfectly inside the hole of the big chunky suppressor. Yeah, the speaker, so it's on a resonator, and because it's one of those 4 ohm 3 watt speakers, it's really super loud. So it basically it doesn't need sound holes. It comes out like the natural path of the wires and stuff, and it's actually plenty loud as it is, so don't need any more sound holes. And then recharge port on pistol grip. Now comes the part of closing it all up, which will be a little bit of a chore. So yeah, it's a silenced SMG, so I made a silenced sound for it. The full auto in the game is a little sluggish, so I did what it would actually be in full auto, which would be a lot faster. Also did a custom sound.
Looks like you shit your pants. Talk.
It's a little different, and it kind of reminds me of the plasma guns from Terminator 2. There's a light in here, just because I thought one was a little bit boring, especially if I'm using a blaster core, so I just add some lights in there for the effect of it. I took the handguard from the other one and just put it on here. Same thing with the sling, same one. Otherwise, that's what this is. This is Joel's flashlight from Season 1, and it was pretty easy kill. All the guys over at the RPF did all the heavy lifting. I just went to the thread and did what they said, which was taking the clip off of a Fulton and then screwing it onto the body of a Maglite. This is a Maglite 2D cell. Putting on some hockey tape and getting the amber filter. I got them from eBay. There's a guy in Florida selling 3 for like $10, and he'll let you pick the different colors. So I just got 3 ambers, and now I have 2 extra for whatever. It's considerably more weathered in the show, and I chose to leave it like this, and let me tell you why. This is a 2C cell Maglite. I've had this for over 20 years, and this is the extent of the weathering, not a whole lot, and this has gone through a whole bunch of stuff. The finish is a lot tougher than you think. I mean, I don't know if it was go through the apocalypse caliber tough, but it's pretty tough. This is what 20-year plus Maglite looks like, so that's why I did that. And I assure you, it has nothing to do with the fact that it would be hard as fuck to get all that weather. Really, for accuracy and reality. And okay, that's it. What are you talking about? I have no idea. I'm just sort of talking here, God. Alright, next. I already showed this one off. This is Abby's backpack from The Last of Us Part 2, the game. It's a Swiss Army salt and pepper backpack, and I explained in the short why I think this is the one from the game, but I just made some modifications. Specifically, I put the leather patch on front and the leather straps. I actually got these from eBay, just Swiss Army kit. That's what I searched for, and lo, it yielded a couple of just standalone strips, so they're stitched on. There's a little piece of leather on the back to hold it on. Same thing with the front patch. When I took the D-ring off of it, there was this big, huge leather plate on the back of it. Actually, I'll show it to you. There's foam in here, but there's this big, huge leather back on here that was just waiting for me to poke a whole bunch of holes through it to sew on that leather patch, but that was already there. I had the big-ass hammer, so of course I put the big-ass hammer on here. Same thing with the bolt. This is just a shortened one, but it goes right there. On the front side, I put the saddle clip on here for Abby's flashlight. Come in. Yeah, it's pretty clear that it is just a Fulton. They don't really do too much to disguise it. Although, kind of like with Ellie and Dina's flashlight, this is sized down a little bit from the full-size double Ds. This is 2Cs. But also, the backpack itself is actually scaled down a lot too. This thing is huge on me, and for Abby in the game, it's just a backpack. What the fuck was I saying? Yeah, I guess we're just gonna move on from there because I don't know how to recover. So yeah, that's Abby's backpack. Moving on. This is just the same M4 that I made for Perry, but I just put 4 flashlights on it. I don't know why, but I get a kick out of that. It's funny. This is Abby's when she was in Jackson. That's pretty much the only place where you can see a flashlight on the M4. And then Jesse's from Seattle. Checking my notes. So this flashlight right here is just a generic brand. It's based off of the Surefire M300. This one was like 30 bucks. I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. Just a flashlight. This is not exactly Abby's flashlight. It's the closest that I could find. This is actually a Surefire G2Z. I've had this since like 1999, so it's really old. I think the one in the show is like a Surefire Millennium or something similar based on the general shape, but I couldn't find it specifically, or at least that particular variant. And you have a pretty clear view of what it is. It's just identifying it. That's the hard part. Also, by the way, I got Abby's gloves from the show. These are Pig Full Dexterity Alpha gloves. Checking my notes. Yes. So I just bought a pair. They're pretty good gloves. I don't know if they're thermally sound the way she wears them in like the blizzard. My hands would be freezing if I wore these, but they're the same gloves. So I made Joel's flashlight from The Last of Us Part 1 again. It's just the same Fulton flashlight that I had before. I shaved off the ridges and stuff, well, most of the ridges. I forgot to go back and get those. I might. I probably won't. But this actually has a shake light incorporated into it because that's what it's like in the game. You shake it to get it to work again. I thought that was kind of a no-brainer. As soon as I thought of it, I was just like, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense to have a shake light. It's basically infinitely useful. All you gotta do is shake it up. I took the clip off and I put it on the mag light, and this is just a lightsaber clip so that there's actually something that I can hang it off of. The switches, it's pretty clear that they're square. They're just recessed a lot more, but these aren't recessed. This one is a latching. This one is a momentary. The shake light came with just a 5mm LED. I mean, it was pretty bright, but at the same time, it was just a single 5mm LED. I pulled the emitter out of one of these, Through Night TI2, but this is an extremely powerful flashlight that only uses a single AAA battery. There is technically an internal rechargeable battery in this, but it's like 3 volts at 40 milliamps per hour, so it's not very powerful. But the good news is, because that small emitter was optimized for it, it's actually not a bad flashlight. Well, in this light, it's not great, but I'm also wearing it down so I can show you the shake function. So yeah, let's wear this down a little bit, and I'll show you the shake function. Alright, so it's on right now. Well, I mean the switch is on, but the emitter is off because it ran down. But let's turn it off for quick. And there, it works again. I mean, you have to shake it for a couple of minutes, and that was literally like 10 seconds. But you have to shake it up for a couple of minutes in order to get like a good amount of charge off of it, and it lasts for a couple of hours actually. Even with the enhanced emitter, it still runs for a good amount of time.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, that's Joel's flashlight. And Ellie's flashlight. I think it's Tessa's flashlight also. This is the flashlight from The Last of Us, the first one. So that's what I got for the next iteration of The Last of Us stuff. I think I'll just call this one Backpacks on Flashlights, because the majority was probably the search for the backpack and the Army Tech flashlight. Everything else was kind of an easy kill, so to speak. But for some reason, those two, they were weeks worth of searching. And I'm glad I did, because like honestly, it was like super satisfying when I actually found when I found both of them. It's very satisfying. So again, that's probably why I continue to do this, because like they show something off in a game or a show and it's either based off of a real thing or it's already a real thing, and for some reason my brain is just like, you need to go find that, and you're not allowed to take a pee break until you actually find it. I'm kidding. I did take pee breaks and stuff, but it was a very lengthy search. And again, very, very happy that I went through all that stuff. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you around.